We're Kyle and Madie, an American couple who shipped our self-converted van Creep from the US over to the UK for UK/European van life. Over the past 3 weeks, Creep was able to take us to see some pretty amazing places around the UK, much of which we never even knew existed. We feel so lucky and grateful to be able to drive our little home around the world, but here's how expensive UK van life is for an American couple on a pretty tight budget.
We're live.
So, as you may know, or maybe you don't know, we are from the US and we actually shipped our van over to the UK so that we could van life Europe and the UK. And we actually had zero idea how much this was going to cost. We knew that we wanted to travel Europe. We knew that we wanted to see these places. But we knew that van life was the only way we were going to be able to do that.
Yes, there was definitely some stuff that shocked us on pricing as Americans, and other things that we figured out didn't cost too much. So,
right, and I think it's also good to always kind of post these price breakdown videos, because with inflation and with the different pricing of everything that varies so much, I think it can just change a lot. And so I think us looking at, blog posts from 2021 van life, the pricing's completely different now than what it was. So it wasn't helpful for us to really look at that, especially gas.
And being on a tight budget, we like to see how much we're probably going to spend or about how much we can spend. So that definitely helps for other people that are on a budget and don't just have an unlimited cash flow to throw out.
Right, and so a little bit of background, our budget is $60 a day for the both of us, so together, so $30 a day a person, I guess.
So we spent 22 days road tripping the UK, and it actually started in Southampton, where we picked up our van from the port, and we had kind of a disaster there with our fridge being stolen. Well, somebody stole our fridge.
No, they didn't.
We have posted in another video. So we had to find another fridge right off the bat. We had a lot of chores to do that we didn't know was going to happen right from the get-go.
Yeah, that was a big learning curve for sure right off the bat.
So we were kind of naive to the preparation that we would have to do right after picking our van off of the ferry.
And also the initial expenses of it all. We had to completely fill up our van with gas, which was a lot.
Yeah.
But from there, we did make our way up to Stonehenge. We stopped and had a little bit of lunch at Stonehenge. Stayed the night with some friends down in Salisbury. And then we kind of made our way up from there. Yep.
We headed to Bath and then into Wales, and that's where the rain really kicked in. We got unfortunate and had a lot of rain, a lot of wind, a lot of cold. But we still made it work.
From Wales, we went up into Snowdonia, stayed in Snowdonia National Park, then went up into Anglesey. We actually didn't get to enjoy our time at all there because the weather was so terrible and so cold and rainy that there was no going out, there was no doing anything. So we kind of decided to leave early and we headed over to Liverpool.
And then we went to the Lake District for a couple days, and it was absolutely stunning. That kind of blew our minds. We had no idea that England could have landscape that looked that pretty.
And the weather started to take a little bit of a turn then too. So it started getting a little bit better. It seemed like we were a little happier then because it was actually sunny out. We could get outside the van. It was so nice. And then we made our way up to Scotland. We went to Glasgow and then we made our way up to
the Scottish Highlands. That was absolutely stunning as well.
Yeah, and then we shot over to the east side of the country and we kind of went down the coast. We stopped in Newcastle. We ate Greg's for 24 hours. So good.
And then we met back up in the outskirts of London with our buddy Dan. And we spent a couple more days with him before we went over to Europe. Yeah, it was a pretty good 3 weeks at the UK.
Yeah, obviously, there's so many more things that we could have seen, so many more things we could have done. But again, we're on a budget, and with gas being or petrol being so expensive, we really had to limit ourselves to where we could go based on our mileage.
Yep.
We did end up driving 1,751 miles in 22 days, and that was way too much.
Yes, yeah, that was a lot of mileage, and we're not driving that much anymore.
No, and so going into some of the things that we liked, some of the things we regretted, definitely regretted driving so much, but we had to.
Yes.
There was no other option.
We had a specific date of a ferry to catch to go from Dover to Dunkirk. So we had to put in the mileage to see what we wanted to see, and I mean, we do regret a little bit the mileage we put in, but on the other hand, we don't, because we got to see some of the stuff that were like a must-see to us.
Yeah, and so while that was a lot, it did allow us to see what we wanted. So that is what it was.
Yeah.
So the weather was terrible. It was cold and rainy, but it wasn't terribly hot either, which is like...
It's kind of nice when you don't have a shower every single day, because then you're not getting too sweaty. I don't know. Then there was also like there was give and take, and then so like with it not being too hot, it also meant that it was really cloudy out, so our solar system wasn't getting the proper sun that we needed, and our battery died like twice. We thought our battery was toast one day.
Yeah, that was a lot of emotions in that day.
Yeah. But luckily our battery is fine.
Yeah, and also I really did like the accessibility in the UK of free parking spots. We didn't pay for a single parking spot or a campsite the entire time we were in the UK.
Yes.
So that was like a game changer for our budget. We saved so much money not having to pay for that.
Also, up in the Scottish Highlands, we had a lot of swimming opportunity. It wasn't warm by any means. It was 7 degrees Celsius, some of the water we swam in, but it was something to swim in, so that was nice for us.
For sure. All right, so kind of our biggest expense obviously is going to be gas or petrol for us, because we drove over 1,700 miles and gas is very expensive. And
I guess for reference, our van was averaging like 16.1, like 15.8 to 16.1 miles per gallon while we were in England, so not very high, but
yeah, and that is what it is. And so our gas, we ended up spending $692.23 on petrol or gasoline. Our next biggest category was groceries. So we eat in almost every single meal that we have.
Almost 3 meals a day. Every single day is cooking and eating in the van.
Yeah, so our groceries was $204.21.
Which is not bad for 3 weeks for the both of us. Yeah. And that was kind of buying what we wanted. We weren't skimping on groceries. We were buying snacks. We were getting exactly what we wanted to eat. So that's a big positive to van life. Our next biggest expense was eating out, and we technically only ate out. Well, we made a video eating Greg's for an entire day. So we had 3 meals at Greg's, and then we had 2 other meals that we ate out. So for eating out at Greg's 3 times and then eating out at real restaurants twice, we spent $128.39 in 3 weeks.
So eating out in the UK is very expensive.
Yes.
So that's why we don't do it. That's why we cook. And we like being able to cook all of our own meals too. Our next biggest category is our pub category. An entire category from going to the pub.
But that is also because we did go out to the pub with our mate Dan. Was that one? Well, that was one big pub night. We had one big pub night with our buddy Dan, but otherwise we did try to make it a priority to hit a pub like twice a week, because the pub culture in England in the UK is pretty awesome to us. It's a lot different than the US. So we made it a priority to probably hit a pub like twice a week, and we would buy like a beer or 2 apiece. So
that category totals $78.49.
And I think like half of that total was from the night that we went out with our mate Dan. So
yeah. But the next biggest category from that is our activities, and we did like kind of a little bit of a whiskey tasting in Scotland. Oh, we went to a castle in Scotland as well.
Yep, that was okay. That's it then.
Yeah.
So
we didn't do much.
So our activities that we paid for 2 things. Like Maddie said, the whiskey tasting, and we went and visited a castle, because you have to see a castle in the UK.
Right. And then we just have like a little bit of random stuff, like laundry. We paid $16.65 for. We did laundry 1 time, so that's how much it costs. Parking, we spent $32.87, so that's like when we're in cities, we'll pay for parking for the day or whatever to park. Kind
of unavoidable.
Yeah.
And then, our miscellaneous total, sometimes I put a miscellaneous section in when it doesn't fit into any of our categories, and I tend to forget about what the expense was, but we only spent $30.40 on miscellaneous. And then our smallest expense for the month was our car repairs, and we had a blinker light go out in the back that I had to replace twice actually, because I had to fix a short in the wire. That was only $10.24, so not bad for a first month for car repairs. Hopefully that can stay the same.
Yeah.
So our daily average ended up being $72.23 a day. So we were like $12.23 over budget per day. And that made our total for 22 days of UK van life $1,589.11. So
more than what we wanted, for sure. But again, we drove a lot, so our gasoline expense was huge.
Yes.
Way bigger than what we plan for in other places. So that by far is the reason that we like went over budget for sure. Is that.
So yeah, I mean, I would say $1,500, almost $1,600 is not terrible for 3 weeks in the UK, because the UK is quite expensive.
Yeah, the UK is beautiful, and we had such a good time in it. But I think we're really glad to be out of the really crappy weather.
Yes.
And we're on to Europe. On to European van life.
Yep. Join us along for our European adventures.
So, if you have any questions or anything, leave comments below. We're more than happy to answer anything or any questions you may have. So, yeah.
Yeah. Here's to more van life.
And see you at the ferry.